Okay, so today we're going to be talking about what people need to be a good coach. I think when you have someone's health in your hands or any of that, it requires a lot. And on top of that, it does require quite a lot of business side, just as any other business. So we're going to be talking about a couple of things on how to be a good coach, to your clients and how to be a good business person, as Zach is a business coach and is awesome. So let's start off.
Awesome.
You can start us off, Zach.
So this is something that I always tell people too, especially when they're getting into the fitness industry, is like there is two sides of the fitness industry. And if you want to be a great coach, you have to recognize and develop skills on both sides of the industry. And what are the two sides of the fitness industry? Well, one side is fitness, obviously, being a really good coach, understanding, the coach-client relationship, understanding nutrition, understanding training, understanding how to program and all that stuff. The other side is actually business too. They don't tell you that business is actually an integrated part into, or an essential part into the fitness coaching business, and is actually a necessity because in order for you to impact more people and create a deeper impact and carve your space in the industry, you have to be good at business, right? That's why you see a lot of people who have really great degrees, high qualifications. They're stuck working for someone else, or maybe they're not getting as many clients as they should be because of their awesome experience. And that's also why you see shitty brands like Fit Tees and like ab waist trainers and stuff making millions and millions of dollars with no science-based like evidence whatsoever, right? Because one side is really, it's essentially those two examples of the polarizing side of having a fully developed fitness-based knowledge and then having a fully developed business-based knowledge. You want to be a really great coach, you need to come into the middle and have skills on both sides.
Yeah, couldn't have said it better myself. So I'm going to start off by talking about on, the personal side, not the business side. So when it comes to actually being a good coach, I think the number one thing, in my opinion, is to be a good person. And I think a lot of people fail to realize that that really is a requirement. At the end of the day, you are talking to people, you have their health in their hands. Sometimes people are new and, you can't get frustrated, and you have to have empathy at times. And it's difficult to be a good person if someone's frustrating you, or if you want them to achieve their goals, sometimes more than they feel like they want to achieve their goals. And you need to be patient, and you need to make sure that you are really working with that client from where they are. What do you want to add to that?
Yeah, I think something, and I guess fitness coaching, it goes back to the last example, is it's so much more than just nutrition protocols. It's so much more than just, workout programming. I know coaches who want to get into that because they think they can write the best workout plans, and that's great, but they also get so frustrated when, clients aren't adhering to certain programs or they're coming up with excuses. But something you have to realize is when you're getting into fitness coaching, you are working with other human beings. And other human beings have different habits than you do. Other human beings have different mindsets than you do. Other human beings think differently than you do. So you need to be extremely open-minded and extremely patient working with people, because you are working with, people's lives here. Not just, trying to get them to change their nutrition habits for positive ones, or change their training habits for positive ones. You really have to be patient and understanding of working with people at their speed and helping them through their challenges and adversities. And that takes a lot of personal work, right? It does take a lot of personal development, right? So learning how to communicate with clients, understanding habit change psychology, those are all essential parts of being a really, really great coach outside of just training and nutrition.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I also think that, oh my God, my thought just completely slipped my mind. Oh my God. What I was gonna say is, if you're great with macros, that's super cool. And if you're great with this, that's super cool. But sometimes I think a lot of us fail to realize that other people don't understand the things that we do.
Yeah.
There are times where I get on my story and I'm like, hey guys, you need to have this many grams of protein, and obviously beef is protein, and obviously rice is carbs, and some people, they're coming to work with you because they don't know these things. They are paying you to teach these things, you know? It's like they're at level 1 and you're there to get them to level 10. So you can't start off with them trying to act like they're at level 5. You know, I think that when you are a coach and you are so well versed in nutrition and like workouts and all these things, you know, these things feel like common sense to you. And sometimes it's hard to take a step back and make sure that you are teaching them on their level, because maybe you're so familiar with it, but like they're a beginner and they come to you to teach them to hopefully get to your level. So I think that's kind of something that's really hard. Even for me, talking about my stories, sometimes I'm like, most of the people who follow me probably don't know these very basic concepts, and like that's who I'm trying to help. So
100%. I actually, so right before we got on this live, I was actually just on a client call. So I work with trainers and I help them build their business. I help them really nail in their marketing and build out their back end. But this girl was just starting her business, which is awesome. And things that I told her, I said, one of the essential pieces that you need in an online offer is you need to accommodate for nutrition. So I'm like, how are you going to deliver nutrition? And she was like, oh, well, I'll just give them weekly macro protocols. I'm like, okay, perfect, right? That's awesome. You'll do weekly macros. But then I told her, I'm like, something that you're going to have to prepare for, and this is going to happen probably right off the bat, that you're going to have girls that don't know what macros are, right? So how are you going to set them up with macros if they don't know what macros are, right? So I told her, I said, part of your business is going to have to be educating them about macros so that way they can use the tools and resources that you deliver to them, right? Because what good is the tools and resources of macros if they don't understand what they are, they don't understand how to use them, they don't understand what exactly is happening. So that's a really good point that you make as well, is like a lot, you really do have to step back and think about, okay, where are your clients starting from? And then you're going to have to start there and walk them through and give them that transformation with the tools and resource guidance that you provide to get them to where you want them to be.
I literally couldn't agree more. And like, especially like now, like we have, you know, I've worked with like over 500 women, and like some of them come to you and they're like, I don't know what a macro is. So it's like, okay, let's start with a little calorie goal.
Mm-hmm.
We have some clients who even struggled with that. And like my assistant coach Morgan had a client who literally struggled to eat enough. So our first couple of weeks, her goal was just to get in 3 meals a day and then continue making small habit shifts. Like you do really just have to make sure that you are understanding where your client is coming from, working with them. And the more you work with them, the easier the process is going to be, the quicker they're going to progress, and the easier they're going to be able to move up in those levels that they want to. And, you know, as a coach, you need to be mindful what you're working with and make it happen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So another thing I wanted to add on to that too is I was actually talking to Brooke Anderson. I know you're good friends with Brooke. She's amazing. I love Brooke.
She's awesome.
Brooke. But I had posted the other day and talking about client adherence, and she had asked me a question about, you know, how do you get your client to, you know, reach the protocols and reach goals that you have for them. And what I mentioned too is like, when you are not a bodybuilding coach, when you are a coach for general population, for most of the bulk of the clientele for most coaches there, you need to realize that the fitness coach that you are, we became fitness coaches because we have a high standard for fitness. Fitness is a big priority in our lives. It's, you know, why we made it number one priority. It's such a priority that we teach other people about it, right? So it's a high priority in our life, and we have high standards for fitness. Now, bodybuilding coaches have high standards for their clients, and they need to, right? But for most Gen Pop, fitness is not as high of a priority as we have made it in our lives. So we need to understand what our priorities actually are and help fitness integrate into their lifestyle. For a lot of girls, you can correct me if I'm wrong, a lot of girls, their priority probably isn't fitness and getting their macros, more so going to school and staying healthy while they're in school. So it's important to really understand where your clients' priorities are, so that way you can help them integrate fitness into their priorities and not hold such a high standard or not belittle them or get frustrated if that high standard for the client isn't met.
Yeah, and I think this also ties into, you know, holding them accountable to a realistic degree.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're trying to make someone who's just a lifestyle client, just trying to like party once a week because they're in college and like do this and that, and they're very busy, and you know, they're doing pretty well, they're doing better each week, but you're like, be on top of it, like be more like exact, like you are really not doing anything to them. Like,
Yeah.
you're just kind of like not gonna, like, yes, you need to hold them accountable, but you need to hold them accountable to a standard that is realistic for them. Because the second that they feel like they are doing something wrong, it's not going to be as rewarding. It's going to not be as fun, you know? But on the other end of the spectrum, you do need to make sure you are holding people accountable. Like, you don't want, you know, obviously it's like, obviously clients are paying you and like you get paid either way, but it's like, I want you to be the girl on my transformation pictures because you look so dope. Like, I want you to show me that this matters to you because I care about it. Like, do it for me. And I think it's really important to note that when it comes to being a coach, like, that really is like what people are paying for. Like, they are paying for accountability. Like, that's the most important thing. So I think when it comes to, you know, holding people accountable, it has to be a realistic standard, but you also do like have to have that line. Like, if someone's just like not giving you any effort, like, you have to be like, let's freaking go.
Yeah, I call that the minimum acceptable standard, right? So obviously you have high standards for your clients, but understanding their priorities, and if those high standards aren't met, you want to make sure they meet the highest standard possible. But you also, on the flip side, you have to draw a line at a certain point. And I remember when I was super deep into fitness coaching before I turned into a business coach, like, if that minimum standard or that minimum acceptable standard wasn't met, I would drop the client, because it's like, I don't care how much you're paying me. Like, you're not getting anything out of this, and I don't want you to invest in something that you're not. Right. For me, it wasn't about the money. It was more so about helping the clients and seeing them grow and transform. That's really where the fulfillment came from. And if they weren't going to take it seriously, then it wasn't worth my time. Right. But having that minimum acceptable standard pretty much shows you when they crash a threshold of when it's time to, you know, kick them in the butt or give them space. Right. For me, it was weekly check-ins. Right. I mean, I'm sure you probably have this where you have certain clients who will communicate with you all day, and then certain clients that you don't hear from all week. Even if you check in with them, you just won't hear with them. I always said that as long as you get in your weekly photos, you can miss one, and that's okay. But if you miss two, I can't do my job, right? Even if you don't check in with me during the week, if you miss those weekly check-ins with the progress photos, then I literally can't do my job. That passes the minimum standard threshold, right?
Yeah.
That's when I'm like, okay, something has to change here.
I think for me, I feel kind of like, I think for me, it'd be like if a client doesn't track all week and it wasn't like something we had discussed. Like, if a client is like going on vacation and I'm like, okay, let's talk about how to approach intuitive eating day, don't track. Or like, we didn't have any of our clients track for Thanksgiving, things like that. But if a client is like, I just had a really bad week and I didn't track a single thing I ate, to me, it's like, girl, even if you don't follow this plan at all, the tracking your food provides data for me to understand what your body is responding to.
Interesting.
So let's say that you dropped 2 pounds, but you ate a bunch of carbs. I'm like, whoa, like, your body is responding really well to a lot of food.
Yeah.
Now I see that data, I understand that data, and even if you didn't have a good week, that helps me understand your body.
Okay.
So for me, I think it's really kind of like, that's kind of my threshold, is like, even if you're not hitting your plan and like life is going wrong, like, I feel you, girl.
Yeah.
I've had those days, but just track it so that way I can use this as like a little science experiment to understand you even better.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. And I think that's really cool that you have a different minimum threshold. But I think for a lot of coaches, I think like you should decide, like, what is that minimum threshold for you? What is the one thing to where if you don't have that thing, you can't do your job? And if that standard isn't being met, then it's time to have a conversation with your client. But if that standard is being met and they're not reaching the higher standard that you have set for them, we'll give them space and allow them to work and grow into that standard. But establishing that minimum standard threshold is like a really good thing to have in place.
I couldn't agree more. So the next thing I really want to talk about is being a student, because like I just said, like, if you are tracking your food, I can at least use that data to learn about you and your body. And I think as a coach, you need to be a perpetual student in understanding each of your clients' bodies, you know, always willing to learn new ways to apply nutrition. Like, dude, like 10 years ago, like, bodybuilding, like, the nutrition world was so bro science. It was like tilapia, rice, asparagus, and it's like every week, like, there is new research that is coming out to help us be better coaches. And like, if you are a coach who isn't taking advantage of all this new data and trying to be better, or listening to new podcasts, or taking new insights in,
Mm-hmm.
you're pretty much just doing a disservice for your clients, is my opinion.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, I think you are the catalyst, or you are like the I don't know what the right word is, but you are the bringer of information to your clients. So it is actually a part of your job to continuously educate yourself, so that way you can bring new ideas and strategies to your clients. um, I'm a business coach, so I work with a lot of trainers who are starting business, so I make it an obligation of mine to listen and learn from other business coaches, so I can bring that information to my clients, teach them something new and of substance. There's always something to learn to be better. But this also goes into a hot topic that a lot of business coaches talk about too, is the questions of being certified, right? I have a two-way stance on it. Depending on the way you look at it, I consider both ways. When people say, like, do you need a certification to start a business? I always say no, you don't need a certification to start a business, but as a coach, you should be qualified, right? I do think that there is a big difference. Like,
Yeah.
you can be qualified without having a certification, and that comes down from educating yourself, learning from other coaches, listening to podcasts, watching YouTube videos, reading books. Like, you can educate yourself, become qualified, and you should be qualified to become a
Yeah.
coach, right?
I literally couldn't agree more. And something that we do in the Happy Healthy Company community is every other week we have a team meeting where we share new things that we can apply to our community to be better coaches. So we are constantly sharing podcasts with each other. My assistant coach Morgan shared us an amazing podcast on like how to handle a new lockdown and what this is going to do and like things like that. We also shared things about like the difference of tracking macros and processed food, because now we're trying to really get into like the quality of our food with our clients. So it's just, we are always evolving as a community to make sure we are serving our clients to the best of our ability. And when you have a team of people who are constantly learning more and sharing more within your community, you're just going to better serve your clients. And I think that that is just like, that's what your job is, like serve them well.
Yeah, no, it is an obligation. And the thing is, it's like I think I said this before too, like, coaching is much more than just, right? You can give someone macro protocols, you can give someone a meal plan, you can give someone, a training plan, but is that actually teaching them anything at the end of the day? I think a huge aspect of coaching comes down to educating your clients as well, right? When I was coaching, one of my biggest priorities was making sure that my clients understood everything they needed to know in order for them to continue on their journey without me. Right. So I made it a huge part, and what you're doing with sharing information and having the meetings is part of that process. So I do think that coaches need to consider how they're going to integrate in education as part of their service as well.
Yeah. So the way that we do that, we do provide audio clip feedback for each of our clients. And we also do have like a little open forum where they can ask more questions. So whatever adjustments we do to their protocol, we always do explain, unless we've been working with them forever and they kind of have heard it over a million times. And then we have clients who are other fitness coaches. Like, I actually coach some of your business clients, and they are always asking us questions because they want to learn more. And I think that's so much fun for us. We love educating. And we also do have like a little Facebook community that we create like educational videos in every other Friday. And that's what we do, is like, we are a true teacher. And I think that the definition of a coach is someone who teaches.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you think about, like, if I used to play soccer, like, our coach would show us how to kick, show us which ways, like show us which angles would get you the best goals, like get around the goalie. It's like, if the coach was just like, run, I'd be like, okay, I can do this. But it's like, knowing the actual understanding of how to do things makes it, one, more enjoyable, and two, you're going to actually be able to apply it long term. And at the end of the day, like, you can be an awesome coach and get clients sick results, but if they lose all their progress because they didn't learn anything during that time, it's like kind of a waste of money for the client, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, and that's interesting that you say that, because I always say that personal trainers, like the good ones, the coaches, they're on the same level as teachers, right? They have the same level of impact. Teachers literally impact the youth of our country. Like, every generation that comes out is educated in the process of teachers, right? They have, I put them on a very high pedestal. Unfortunately, not compensated fairly for the impact that they have. But with personal trainers who are able to build their own business, they are able to compensate themselves through their own business, but but I put them right up on the same pedestal because they have the same impact. They're literally teaching and changing people's lives through education, which I think is super dope.
Yeah. And, going into kind of like the business side of this, to be a coach, you have to be a teacher. And I think that a lot of coaches kind of miss this, but in order to get new clients, in order to grow your business, you need to get very comfortable teaching people for free online.
Yes, 100%. So I have a really easy way to break this down. I feel like you mentioned, like people can kind of be like gatekeepers almost. They're like, no, I don't want to share my secrets because then they can just go out and do what they do for free. Like if I give out too much information, then they're just going to take what I say and go out and do it, right? But in reality, what you're helping people realize is that there is a way for them to achieve the results, and you are showing them a new path, right? Most people have tried keto diet, tried vegetarian diet, tried intermittent fasting. Some have found success, but some, fail, right? And what you're able to do through your coaching program, and if you have a business, is you are able to show a new way to achieve those results. And when you share with them what it is that you do or what the secret formula is, then they are going to want to learn more. And when you give them that education as to what they need to do, you're going to increase the chances of them coming to you to learn how to do it, right? For you, for example, right? You talk about tracking macros. You give out so much free information about tracking macros, whereas so many girls don't really know what a macro is. So they come to your page and they realize, oh, this is what a macro is. This is how it could benefit me, right? Now I want to learn how to use macros, right? What are they going to do? They're going to work with you, right?
Yeah.
So educating people and giving out free information on what your method is going to make you the expert in that field.
I completely agree. And, going off that, I think giving out free information also builds credibility. It's like, I know what I'm talking about. Like, if I'm just posting client transformations, I mean, client transformations are very effective, don't get me wrong. But if I'm just posting, like, look at how dope she looks, like, look at how dope I look, it's like, I don't know if you can do that for me or like how you did that. Like maybe you did that in a healthy way. And then in addition to that, I also think like something really valuable is like sometimes people don't trust you. And giving out information builds trust. For us in the Happy, Healthy, Confident community, 95% of our clients come to us not knowing about nutrition, and they're considered like metabolically obese, which is when they do not process food at like the same rate as someone who is a healthy metabolism. So we have to go through a reverse diet off the bat. And the general population most likely needs to go through a reverse diet, but does not know what it is.
Yep.
So giving out free information on like, yo, this could help you. This is what it is. This is how I do it. And this is the success of people I've done it. And this is the info.